As we transition to the new normal, we have left others behind. We need to reimagine and redesign our educational system. With the collective effort of schools, sponsors, and Tagpros learning management system, and core of passionate teachers, we can deliver free education and champion the cause of our students. Together, we would be able to teach, inspire, and serve, because Tagpros believes that education is a right all children deserve.
Good afternoon, everyone. I am Jerome Jaime, an Apple Distinguished Educator and EdTech Coach at Xavier School. I will be your host for today, and welcome to Tagpros Children Live Webinar Workshops. So this webinar workshops series is brought to you by Tagpros Children in partnership with Tagpros Education, an up-and-coming online K-12 education marketplace, where passion takes the lead in learning. So this event is also made possible by the Department of Education, International Cooperation Office, Teacher Education Network, and Next Series. Moving on, I hope that you were able to catch the latest episode of Tiny Thoughts, which was about working smarter but not harder. So as a new year unfolds, we all want to accomplish many things. We shared some tips to help you reach your goals and work smarter, but not harder. So if you have not watched it yet, go ahead and check it out on our Facebook page. Um, First of all, before we begin, let's have our attendance check. Okay, let's all welcome our participants from the different parts of the country. Okay. Um, so good afternoon to everyone. SDO Lawag from the Ram National High School, SDO Samar. Okay, just post your comments to your teachers. We would like to encourage you to participate and let us know where you're watching from. Okay. All right. From Imus, SDO Ifugao. Wow. SDO Pampanga. And Imus City, Paaralang Elementarya ng Malagasang 2. Okay. Cainta Rizal. We have participants from Cotabato. Okay, sorry, I have to really catch up with the flow of chats. But we would like to welcome everyone, and we are very happy to be with you this afternoon. So, as always, please practice responsible digital citizenship, and that includes your email or your contact number. Let's also be civil to one another in the comment section. Now, as a gentle reminder for everyone, registering for the webinar workshop or just watching this webinar workshop does not make you eligible for a digital certificate. If you want to receive a digital certificate for our webinar workshop, you have to answer the evaluation form that we release after every session. After we open the form, you only have a week to answer it before we close it on Friday, 11:59 p.m. If you miss the deadline, you will no longer be able to access and answer the evaluation form, even if you registered and joined the webinar session. We hope that you understand and remember this. We also want to inform you, our dear teachers, that the issues with some of the certificates with missing names for January 8th, 2022, that were sent earlier should be resolved as of now. Kindly check your emails again for the copies with your names on them. Thank you very much. Now, our guest speaker for today is a very familiar face to many of us because she has hosted our previous webinars. She is a social studies teacher, Apple Learning leader, EdTech Coach, and a global Leap Ed Learning Coordinator at Xavier School-San. Today, she'll share her knowledge and expertise on how learning can be fun and engaging for our students in our online classes. So let's welcome Miss Selene Estaris as she shares with us strategies on how we can gamify our lessons.
Hi everybody, good afternoon. Welcome to our session today. I'm Selene Estaris. As some of you may know, I usually host our live webinar workshops here at Tagpros over the weekends, but I'm so excited for this Saturday because I'm here as a speaker this time instead. So I'm really happy to be here. And really excited to share with you one of the interesting tools that we have. It's an online tool that you can use to actually create interactive stories or even customize games and activities for your students. So, this app or this tool, this program that I will be talking to you about today is called TinyTap. So, what is TinyTap? So, I'm going to go over a little bit of what TinyTap is, and then later on, I'm going to show you some of its functions, some of the things that you can do with it, and how you can make your own games or your own custom games with them. So let me just share with you our screen here. Yeah. So let me just move. All right, one moment. Okay, so let me move myself over here so that you can see my screen. Okay, there we go. All right. So what is TinyTap? So as you can see here on my browser, so TinyTap, if you want to go to it, you just have to go to tinytap.com on your browser. It works best on Chrome. So far from my experience, it doesn't really run on Safari. So if you're using your Apple device, I suggest that you open it using Chrome because it doesn't run on Safari. So yeah, use it on Chrome or Firefox. Right now, I'm running it on Google Chrome. So TinyTap basically is this website. It's kind of like a big library of games for younger students. Now, a lot of the games that are available online, a lot of educational games available online are geared towards usually older students, or if they're for younger students, they're super simple games, right? But TinyTap puts a twist on that because although these games are geared towards children, they are not like oversimplified. So let me show you some of the things they have. So this is their library. When you go to the TinyTap homepage, you will actually see a list of the different games that they have available. Now these games are actually games created by the TinyTap development team, and some of them are also created by teachers from around the world. So a lot of these games are actually made by teachers for teachers. All right, and usually these are things that teachers created as custom games for their students, but they feel like other teachers might be able to benefit from them as well, so they share them with the rest of us. And when you create your own games as well on TinyTap, you'll also be able to share the games that you make with the rest of the world if you choose to do so. Of course, you also have the option not to do that, to keep it private, to keep it for yourself, for your class, or even just for your school. That's also possible. Okay, so just a quick walkthrough of the website. So again, on the homepage, you will see this list of. If you scroll down, you're going to see the different games that they have available. Now, if you go to the very top, actually, you will see here a bar that indicates the different subjects that they have available. And if you go to all categories, you'll see a breakdown of that. So you'll see the different subjects they have available, like math, language studies, English, social skills, science and nature, early childhood. So they have all these different subjects. And then you can see a breakdown of the specific topics in case you're looking for something in particular. So, for example, for math, you have numbers, counting, shapes and colors. So there are a lot of topics that they cover, a lot of subjects as well. If we scroll to the right here, you can see they even have ones for religion, therapy. We have for music and art, stories. We have holidays. You know, if you want to teach your students about specific holidays, what we celebrate. And then we even have foreign languages. If you teach a foreign language class, you can make use of these games. We also have just for fun, videos, nonverbal. So there are a lot of topics and subjects that you can choose from the existing library or catalog that they have. Now, if you want to filter your search further, you can even search through the different age levels or grade levels maybe that you need it for. So, for example, if you're teaching, let's say, younger students, right? We want to look for, let's say, games that are appropriate for kids who are ages 4 to 5. So you just have to choose it from the drop-down menu, and then TinyTap will filter those available games that they have for you, and then they will place it there. So you have there the editor's picks, which are basically the games that a lot of people are using, a lot of people have given good reviews for, and so editors highlight them so that you also know that these are good quality activities or games that you could use. And then if you scroll down, you can look for more, even more of the different topics and lessons that you can use. So the ages actually go from 2 to 3 up to 14 plus and even all ages. So even if you're also teaching older students, you might be able to find some games here that would be suited for them. Although from what I've seen so far of TinyTap, a lot of them are geared towards younger students. But that shouldn't stop us because the great thing about TinyTap is that you can create your own custom games. So let's say, for example, you've browsed the existing library of games created by TinyTap and the other teachers from around the world, and you don't find anything that fits your needs. You can always create your own. You can create your custom games. So I'm going to show you that. But one thing I also want to point out is, let's just go back quickly to the home page. Okay, let's go back to our, one moment. So you just sign up for this, by the way. Let's go back to the games that they have listed here. Okay, let me just sign in real quickly. Okay, so if you don't have to get a subscription, by the way. This is completely free. TinyTap is actually free. You don't need to get a subscription to benefit from it or to make use of the different functions that they have. Actually, educators get free use of TinyTap because it's really geared towards educators. So I just had to type in back to tinytap.com to open the main page. Alright, so just to go over this again, I wanted to point something out. TinyTap actually works in collaboration with, let me show you, Sesame Street. So you will see some games that they have here that are, if you look at the credits of who made it, it's Sesame Street and TinyTap. So TinyTap actually works with Sesame Street, which is a well-known children's educational program. So you know from there that the games that they produce that are already existing in their library are high quality ones because they're able to work with programs like this one. And yeah, so you can look for games created by the TinyTap development team along with Sesame Street. So they have plenty of those. And it might be good for your students as well because they'll be able to recognize the characters. But again, like I said, If nothing seems to fit your needs, you can create your own game. So we're going to go to our create button here. So right next to the TinyTap logo, you will see the create button. Now, in order to see this, you have to sign up for an account first. Again, the account is completely free. I suggest that you use your school email address if you have it, because as educators, like I said, we get free access to these features. So, when you click the create button, you're actually going to be taken to your personal library. And your personal library is where you're going to see all the games that you've created. The published games, which are the games that are already available to play, and there are also your drafts. So right now I don't have a draft, but later on you're going to see what a draft is going to look like. So drafts are basically games that maybe you're still in the process of editing or still in the process of fixing and you haven't published it yet. So they will stay here until such time that you decide to publish them. So let me just show you first this sample game that I created before. This is actually a sample game that I created and presented during one of our workshops at school because I wanted to show teachers what this particular program, this tool is capable of creating. So I'm just going to go over the different pages that I have created here so that you can also get an idea of what kind of things you can do or create with TinyTap. So I'll just have to click the play button there. So this is my kind of like a welcome screen for the game, like a title page. And then I can just click on the arrow to go to the next page.
What day is it today?
Alright. There's a question here.
What day is it today?
Alright, so you hear, I hope that you can hear actually, that there is a voice track that's saying, what day is it today? So I believe I made
What
this.
day is it today?
Yeah, I made this for Friday, but let's try putting in an incorrect answer. Let's say it's Wednesday. So when I click an
What day
incorrect
is it
answer,
today?
you will see I get immediate feedback. It's telling me that it's
What
wrong.
day is it today?
And then it will
What
tell
day is
me
it today?
what the correct answer is. And when I click on the correct answer, it's going to give me immediate feedback as well. So this is what the students are going to see from their end. Now this one is a number puzzle type of game. So for this one, you have to match like the number
What day is it today?
with the, I'm having a little bit of a lag on the sound. You're going to match the number with the number of items in the box. So you just have to drag and drop. Students just have to drag and drop. Let's try another activity. So we're advancing a little. Okay, let's go back. This one is matching emotions with their names. So facial expressions with emotions. So for example, let's say grumpy. Again, this is a drag and drop type of puzzle game. Tired. Let's say if I put this wrong, like happy. So again, there's that feedback that it's wrong. So I will have to put it in the right place. And once it's in the right place, it's going to click in. And the puzzle will be completed. So that's another type of puzzle. The next one that we have is the next one we have is a spelling word. So as you can see in my instructions, it says here, tap here to hear the spelling word. So let's tap on the box.
Spell the word sovereignty. Sovereignty.
Okay, so I have to spell the word sovereignty. So I can type here. Let's say, for example, I typed it incorrectly. So I type in the word, I click enter, and it's wrong. But it does give me a clue of how to properly spell it. So maybe let's give it another try. Sovereignty. There we go. Alright, and then I click enter again. And then it tells me this time that I got it correctly. So you can use it, as you can see.
One city.
As you can see, you can use it for spelling words as well, or spelling quizzes. Okay, so this one is kind of like a point to the right direction type of thing. So it just said tap on San Juan City. There we go. So I'm going to tap on San Juan City here on the map.
Tap on Quezon City.
Okay, we have to tap
on Quezon City.
You have to tap on Quezon City next. So let's look for Quezon City. There we go. Let's hear the next one.
Manila City. Tap on Manila City.
Okay, Manila City. What if I click on something else? It's going to give me
Tap on
feedback
Manila
that
City.
it's wrong.
Tap on Manila City.
Okay, let's tap on Manila City. There we go.
Pasig City. Tap on Pasig City.
Okay, this time we tap on Pasig City. Oops.
On Pasig City. Tap.
See, so every time I get a
Pasig
wrong
City.
answer, it's going to give me feedback for it. Alright. Now this one is a soundboard type of activity. For the soundboard, you have to click the different areas of the picture and then you can hear a sound from that particular area. So for this one, you're going to click on the different parts of the flower to learn about what that part is called. So let's say, for example, I click on this part. What is this part called?
Pollen. Pollen.
Okay, that's pollen. What about this one?
Answer. Answer.
What about this one?
Ovary. Ovary.
And this one?
Petal. Petal.
Okay, so this can also be useful if you want to teach your students about different parts of something. And then when the game is done, it's going to give a prompt that the activity is done. And then if your students want to play it again, they can just put in the URL again or the link again. They can open that. So that's just a quick overview of the type of things, the type of activities you can create with TinyTap. So let's get now to the actual creation part. So once you are at your library, so again, you just have to click the create button. And then once you're at your personal library, we click the create game button here. So it's going to load up for us. And then we'll just have to wait. So this is the creation page where you're going to create your own game. Alright, so you can actually get a tutorial from TinyTap itself. If you forgot, let's say, how to do something specifically, you can click on the tutorial and then you can see the different functions and it's going to give you a walkthrough of
Tap on the different features to learn how to create your own app. Each feature has a tutorial video and 2 examples.
Yeah, so like what it said, when you open the tutorial, you can actually choose a specific activity that you want to look at. If you want to know how to make it, if you forgot, for example, you can just review it here. And it's also going to show you some samples so you know what you're going in for. So let me just click out of that because I'm going to show you now. We're going to go direct to the point and show you what it's going to be like to create your own game. So of course, let's give our game a name. So let's say, for example, our Tagpros sample. So that's going to be the name of our game. You can change it later on if you want. You can always edit the name. So if you want to just put in maybe a placeholder name for now, that's okay as well. Alright, so right now, our game creation screen is a blank screen. So what we're going to do, of course, first is we have to put some decorations on it, right? We have to make it look presentable. Now, the great thing about TinyTap is, if you're familiar with Canva, Canva has existing assets already. It has existing pictures, it has existing background images that you can use, and you basically just have to select it or drag and drop them into the screen. Now, the same thing is available on TinyTap. TinyTap also has its own assets, its own pictures and images available for you to use. So let's take a look at that. So up here on the left side, the very first button that we have here is actually our creation packs. So the creation packs are different style packs that you can use. They have different images if you want to use them, kind of like stickers that you can use to design your game. So the first thing you want to do is to choose a style. So your style is basically going to be like a background color, or if you want, they also have these different images that you can use as your background. If you want something like that, or which one should we use? I think I like this one. So we'll use this one. But again, it's up to you. It's your game. Customize it however you feel you want to. or whatever you're going for. So they actually have a lot of styles that you can choose from. You can select from these. If you want to just keep it plain, you can keep the white one and then just decorate it with whatever you want. So now that we have our style, we can also choose a layout. So for the layout is kind of like if you want to put a border or a grid on your page. So if you want to make it more organized, if you want to have like maybe a graphic organizer for your students, you can put in a grid like that. They have different kinds of grids available, different kinds of layouts available. So for example, you can make a word chart like that one. So things like this, different panels. So just choose depending on your needs, depending on what you would like your uh, page to look like. You can do that. Or if you don't want it to have any of that, you can just click clear. So for me, I'm just going to keep this one clear for now because I want this to be kind of like my cover page, or basically like just the intro to our main game itself. Now, when you look at the creation packs, aside from the style and the layout, you can actually also choose from the different packs that they also have here. So they have a lot. They have ones for animals, they have specific characters that they have as well. They have space, they have holidays. So yeah, they have emoticons. So they actually have a lot of creation packs and they're continuing to add to these creation packs as well. So let's take a peek inside one of the creation packs. Let's take a look at Marshmallow, for example. So Marshmallow has its own specific layouts that you can use. It also has its own backgrounds. And then also these kind of like boxes if you want to add like maybe a text box. And you want it to look like that. So you can click on it and it's going to appear on your screen. And then you can just drag it to the area that you want it to appear in. You can also duplicate that. You can stick it there if you want it to be permanent. You don't want it moving around. Or you could delete it if you don't want it anymore. So Marshmallow, let's take a look at a couple more. Let's take a look at Monsters. So for the Monsters one, you can see this one has characters in it, like these. So again, you can put in your characters, just click them. It's gonna appear on your screen, and then you can just move them around. So let's say for example, you have a monster there, you have eyes. You know, you can just add whatever pictures or animations you want on that. They even have numbers, mouths. The different creation packs contain different images, of course, depending on what the theme is. So, of course, monsters are going to have monsters. Back to school is going to have like different school related images. So, like that. Like what we see here, like crayons, scissors, things like that. And then it goes on for the other ones as well. So, this one we have like nursery rhymes, seasons, feelings, quiz show. We even have the ones that are animated if you want something that's moving and not just like a static image. So we have those. So they have, like I said, plenty of creation packs. So it's really easy for you to actually design your game because you don't have to search anymore for specific images on your own, but they already have ones that are available for you to use. So that helps as well in saving you some time when you're creating your games. Okay, so let me just clear my screen first because I want to show you a couple more things. So aside from the creation packs, if for example there's a specific image you're looking for that's not necessarily available on the creation pack, you can actually search the internet. So we're going to use the magnifying glass button there, and you can do a web search for specific photos. You can look for a photo, an animation, clip art, or even line art. So let's say, for example, because this is going to be our intro screen, let's do an animation of somebody like maybe saying hi, maybe welcome, something like that. Okay, let's choose, for example, this one. So we have that. And then we can just position it on our screen. And then, like I said, you can customize it. Yeah, I removed the white because it's a little weird to have the background there. You can remove the white and then, so it's gonna be like that. Okay, and then, although I think by removing the white, I also removed the animation. So let me just delete that and put it back in. Okay, there we go. Alright, so we can do an animation and you can also do a photo if you want someone saying hi. So you also have photos there from the internet that you can use. And then you can also toggle these options if you want images that are royalty free or images that have no background. So really easy to search more easily through different images. So you can use that. You can look for clip art. You can look for, yeah, see, clip art, and then we have line art. So a lot of choices for you. If you can't look for an image, if you can't find an image you like from the creation pack, you can do a web search. Or you can also upload one from your own device or from your own computer. If you have already an image that you want to use, maybe you want to put in a picture of your class so that they know that it's specifically for them. You can use this function. You can upload a file from your computer. Okay, and the last button here for customizing the look of our page would be the text button. So the text button, of course, is a way for you to enter, whatever you want onto the screen. So let's say, welcome to our sample game. Alright, so we've typed that in. You can also customize like things about the font, the color. So you can choose your colors here. Yeah, so let's customize our color like that. You can also customize the font. They have a couple of fonts that you can choose from. And then, of course, the size. And then you just click done. And that's going to show up on your screen. And then you can just drag the corners to make it bigger or smaller. Or if you want to change it up, you can just edit the text. Okay? So we're going to keep our intro page simple like that just because I just want to show you what it could look like. Alright, so now, how are we going to add new pages to this? How are we going to add another page to our activity or to our game? So to add a new page, we're going to click this button here at the bottom. So when we click that, you're going to see a breakdown of your slides, kind of like a table of contents. So from there, we will just click Add Slide. Alright, now that we've added a slide, this slide 2 will be available already. And then we can start customizing our slide 2. So let me just put in first a design, just a quick background on it, a background image, so that it's not too plain. Let's choose maybe this one, like a lavender, something soft on the eyes. Alright, so now that we have a background on it, again, like I said, you can customize the image or the imagery however you want. Let's put in an activity. So as we saw earlier, there are different kinds of activities you can use for your TinyTap activity or TinyTap game, or even if you're making a story. So just to go over them, the first one we have here is ask a question. So the ask a question one is the one that I use for the map. Where you have to ask a question and then the student will click on the screen wherever the answer is. So they'll click on the right answer. This is also the type of activity I use for the what day is it question. Right? Next we have soundboard. So soundboard is the one that I use for the flower activity where would they click on a specific part and it's going to tell us the name of that part. Puzzle would be the drag and drop puzzles like the emotions, the facial expressions one, and the number puzzle. Say something is basically just a narration type of thing if you're going to do an interactive story. And then video, of course, is you can put in a video. And then talk or type is the one where they will type in their answer, just like in the spelling activity that I showed. Alright, so let's go over these ones. Okay, so let's do ask a question. Now I want to do, let's say I want to test how will my students know the parts of their face. Right, so let's put in an image first of a face. Let me search that. So I want to see face. So let's look for a face. Okay, maybe not specifically a human face, cartoon face. Okay, here. So we have a cartoon face here. Let's choose one that we like. How about one that's clear? Let's do... Okay, this one I think is good enough. So let's do that one. Okay, let's make it bigger. Alright, and then I want to remove the white background. Alright, so that it's easier to see. Or you can just click no background on the search so that it will actually pull up one that doesn't have a white background. Alright, there. So now that we have our face, let's put in our activity. So before you actually set your activity, you have to make sure that whatever design you want on your screen is already there. So since we're going to do a face activity, the face already has to be there. And then we'll do our set activity, and then we'll click ask a question. So now you're going to record your question. So for example, my question is, click on the eyes. Click on the eyes. So I have my question narration. I'll just stop it so that it can save the question. Alright, now we're going to trace the area where the answer is found. So we're going to trace this area. So you just have to drag and trace it. So these are the eyes. Of course, this is the area that we're expecting them to click. So you can have it in a square form, circle form, triangle, or even free form. So I think I'll just do free form so that it's more specific in the eye area, and then we'll click check. So that's our first question. Let's add another one. Click on the nose. Click on the nose. So we're going to save that again. Saving that. And then again, we're going to trace the area where we want them to click. So small area there, let's make it a circle. And then we'll click check. So now we have two questions. Let's add another question. Click on the mouth. Click on the mouth. So I like to repeat my questions so that way, actually TinyTap will loop the questions on its own, but I like to repeat the questions as well, just so it's easier. Okay. And then we have that, we choose our shape. Let's try a rectangle this time and then check. Okay, now once you're satisfied with all of your questions and all of the answers, the areas that you've chosen, you can just go back. And then this is what it will look like. Now, if you want to check if it's correct, we can preview what we've created so far. So we're just going to click this play button here to preview the type of activity that we've created so far. So it's going to load. So I suggest that you check or that you preview your activity every once in a while after you create it, so that if there's anything else you need to edit with it, you can do that already.
Click on the eyes.
So that's our first.
Click on the eyes.
Here we go.
Click on the nose. Click on the nose. Click on the mouth. Click on the mouth.
So there we go. So that's what our ask a question type of activity is going to look like. So I'll leave it up to you to kind of be creative with how you're going to use that type of activity. It's really up to you. You could do like something like I did with the what day is it type of question. Yeah, it's up to you. Alright, let's try another type of activity. So let's add another slide. Okay, add another slide, and then we have to put in our background first before we can do an activity here. we have to we have to choose a style first, or at least choose a background for our page. So this time, let's do this light blue. Alright. Okay, this time, let's try, what activity do we have next? We have a soundboard. Okay, we're going to try a soundboard. So what do we usually use soundboards for? Maybe farm animals, right? What do farm animals sound like? Or maybe if you want to do something more complicated, let's say for example, you're going to do a cell, and then they're going to click on the different parts of the cell, and like for example, when they click on it, it's going to say this is the mitochondria or things like that. Again, it's up to you, but let's keep it simple for this one. Let's do farm animals. So let me just, I think we have animals in our creation packs. So we're just going to, okay, zoo animals. Yeah, maybe we have one in zoo animals. Okay, so we're going to choose our, these are not farm animals. There are no farm animals here. Okay, let's just look for them here. You can look for ones here. You can also look for them or search for them specifically in the search button. Okay, here we go. The farm animals. Alright, so let's choose our farm animals. Let's say dog, for example. Let's have a dog. Okay, dog. And then let's do pig. Our common animals. Okay, there we go. Let's do a chick. And then let's do duck. Excuse me. Alright, so we have our animals now. Again, like I said, if you want this to be more organized, you can also use your layout to choose like a layout if you want it to be more organized, if you want them to be in specific boxes, like let's put, for example, the squares. And let's put our animals in the squares. This way it's more organized, right? It's not just all over the place. Alright, so something like that. Okay, now let's do our soundboard. Now for the soundboard, you're going to, of course, record a sound. Now you can choose to use a sound from a different device if you don't want to make the sounds on your own. You can just play the sound from somewhere else, or you can record your own voice. So for our soundboard, let's say for example for our farm animals, let's trace first the area that can be clicked by the students. So this is our first area. Okay, here. This is the area that we want our students to be able to click. Okay, so let's check that. And then you can just record the sound. So let's say for example, woof, woof. So that's just a sample, right, of what a dog sounds like. And then you can even include a short description. So for example, this is a dog. Okay? And then once you're done with that, just click out of it and that should save on its own already. Okay, and then let's try another shape or another area. Okay, check. Let's do oink, oink. Of course, you can put more emotion into it. I'm just doing this real quickly so you can see what it's like. This is a pig. Okay, you can also preview what it sounds like.
Oink, oink.
So you know what it sounds like. If you want to clear the recording and record it again, you can do that. So then just do it for the rest of the other animals as well, right? So let's just click out of that. All right, and then if we're going to preview it, we're going to preview what it sounds like, what it looks like as well. Yeah, so let's just wait for it to load. Sometimes it takes a while to load. If that happens, just click out and then just try to click the preview button again so that it can reload or refresh. Okay, there we go. So let's listen to our soundboard. So you can see the areas that the students can click. Let's click this one first.
Woof, woof.
So it plays the sound, and as you can see, it also includes the description at the bottom.
Oink, oink.
Alright, so we're good with our soundboard. So again, like I said, you can also use this for other types of images, other types of things that you want to learn, you want your students to learn about, like the parts of certain things, or how to pronounce certain words, or and just things you want them to know about. You can use the soundboard. Okay, moving on to our next feature, to our next type of activity. Again, add slide. Let's pick another style. So I'm just breezing through these parts so we can focus on the activities that we want to make. Alright, let's do pink this time. Okay, this time for our next activity, let's do puzzle. Okay, puzzle. For the puzzle, I want to do something like, because I saw the zoo animals earlier, let's try that. Let's do zoo animals, and we're going to have the students match maybe the food to the animal. So let's say, for example, you have a banana. Right? We have banana. We have fish. And then we have, what else can we have? Peanut. Right. Okay, so we have our food. Now let's put in our animal. So banana would be monkey, right? So we have our monkey. Okay. And then for the fish, maybe we'll do the tiger. Okay. And then for the peanut, of course, that's elephant. All right. So now that we have our animals and our food in place, we can now do our puzzle. So you have to actually put in the entire image first, or all the parts of your puzzle in first, before you create the puzzle. So now that I have all the parts I need, we're going to do puzzle. And then we're going to trace out the shape that's going to be a puzzle piece. So our first shape, oh, it's still loading. Okay. Our first shape is going to be the banana. So your shape doesn't have to be perfect. Let's make it a circle. Okay, there we go. And then let's place it somewhere else. Usually you want to leave space at the bottom where you're going to put the puzzle pieces. I forgot to put that in. But anyway, so let's do our fish. Our fish. Yeah. So there's our fish. And then we have our peanut. Let's do another circle for the peanut. Okay. If you want it to be challenging for your students, you can also make them the same shapes. Right. So once you have that, so place the puzzle pieces in a different area. Ideally, you will have a spot where you will actually put the puzzle pieces, which I was not able to account for. So right now it looks like this, but when you actually preview it, it's going to have the puzzle pieces out of their the slots that we cut out. Okay, so when you play, as you can see, the puzzle pieces are here now. You can drag them. So we're going to match them to the animal that they're supposed to go to. I actually didn't arrange them by the animal, so that's my fault. So since I made it wrong, let's fix that. So let's put the banana here. Let's put our fish here and our peanut there. So when we do our puzzle, it should retain the shapes that we cut out earlier. Let's take a look if it retained it. If not, yeah. So we will just edit this. So delete, delete, delete. And then now that they're matched up properly, let's trace our shapes again. So we have our peanut. Okay. Yes. We have our banana. Okay. And we have our fish. Okay. And then we move them around, maybe jumble them up a little bit, place them in different areas on the screen so that the puzzle pieces are jumbled. Okay, now let's try it again. Let's do another preview. So we're going to preview it again. This time it should be in the right area already. Okay, there we go. So they're scrambled. Now I have to drag, of course, the thing to where they're supposed to go. I still got... Okay. So it looks like I'm still wrong. Hold on. Let's fix that. It's supposed to look like this, right? So let's just fix it in the shape puzzle. So it's going to show you what it should look like. If it's still wrong when you preview it, you can just start over. Just delete the page and then start over with the entire puzzle. That's fine as well. So it should be like that. It should go to the proper place, but it's probably registering the first shapes that we got out. So just to be sure, you can just start over again with this one. Alright, anyway, let's move on to our other features. Let's add another slide. Okay. And then, yes, once more, just choosing a random color that we can use for the background. Let's use green. Okay, our next feature is going to be okay. Say something, like I said, it's just a narration. So if you're going to do a storybook, you can put, for example, text that says once upon a time, and then the say something is basically you just recording your voice and narrating it. So I think we can skip over that one, as well as the video, because the video is just you basically putting a video into the screen. We'll skip actually to the last feature because I think this is one that's more interactive. So this is the talk or type. So like I said, this is the one that I used before for the spelling question. So let's trace an area where we want our students to type in their answers. So we want to do a square. So this is where they're going to type. Now, what do we want them to type? So let's say, for example, we want them to spell a word. What word do we want them to spell? Oh, let's say, for example, spell Tagpros. Spell Tagpros. So let's stop our recording there. So when they click on this area, it's going to say that. So in this part, we're going to enter the answers that are accepted answers. So let's say Tagpros with the proper capitalization, Tagpros without capitalization, and Tagpros with just the first letter capitalized. Now it's up to you if you want to give that much freedom to your students that even if certain words are not capitalized, it will register as correct. Or if you want to be very specific, you can just keep it to 1 or 2 correct answers. So this time I'm going to give like kind of a range of possible ways that they can type it in. Okay, and then we'll click out. Alright, so this is the answer that we're looking for here. So now if we're going to preview that, if you preview that particular slide, okay, when I click here,
Spell Tagpros. Spell Tagpros.
it's going to say that. So I have to spell it. So I'm going to spell it like that. And it's going to tell me that it's correct. So this is a great one that you can use if you want your students to type in the answers instead of just dragging and dropping, or instead of just clicking on a particular thing, clicking on a particular answer. Instead of doing that, you can actually have them type their answers instead. So you can also use it as kind of like a review quiz if you want. So the great thing about this, by the way, is that when you create your game, it gives immediate feedback to your students. So you don't necessarily have to monitor them while they're doing this. You can actually give this to them as homework. You can give this to them as an asynchronous activity that they can do in their own time. You don't have to be there to monitor them as they're doing it, because the game itself will give immediate feedback to your students and they will know immediately if what they're doing is right or if their answers are right or wrong. Okay? So that's the great thing about this. So now that we're done previewing all the different features and we've tried them out, we can now click done. So when we click done, the game creator is going to process our game and it's going to become a draft. So right now, we have the title here. If you feel like you want to change the title now, you can change it to something else. You can write a short description and then you can make it more specific, like what topic is it under, what age level, what language. This way, if other people want to search for your game, or if you want other teachers to have access to your game as well, they can easily search for it using the filters. Um, you also have options here if you want it to be public. So public means that other teachers can also see it, they can also use it. They can't edit your game, but they can give it to their students to play. So if you want other students from around the world to also be able to play your game, you can set it to public. And then the editable, if you don't want other teachers to edit your game, you have to toggle this off. If you have it on, other people can add new slides to it, add new activities to what you have, or change the design of it. So if you want your game to be a little more permanent and the way it is, if you want to set it the way it is, then click off on the editable. Alright, now once that's done, you can either save it as a draft or publish it. When you save it as a draft, it's going to save here at the top row. So as a draft, the understanding is that it's not done yet. You can still edit it, you can still fix some things, or maybe if you still want to add a couple more activities to it, you can do that just by clicking the edit button. Now, if you're ready to have your game be played, then you have to publish it. Your students cannot play your game unless it has been published. So let's just give a quick description. Category is, let's say, just for fun, right? And then age is, let's say 2 to 3. Okay, English, and then let's publish. So once your game has published, actually it may take some time to publish. So it's going to save that and then they'll send you an email once your game is ready. Once your game has been published, you will find it there on the bottom row, just like my published games there. Behind this window, you'll see it says published games, and that's where all the games that you've created will be. So like it says here, you'll get an email when it's ready. So they're still publishing it, meaning that they're still rendering it, they're still finishing it out. Once it's ready, it will be available here in the published game. Now, how are you going to share this with students? Simple. You just have to open the game and then you just have to send the link to them. Okay, so for example, while that's still loading, let's say for example this one. I want my students to play this game. I just have to open it, go to my address bar, copy the link, and then send that to them. And when they click that link, they will be taken immediately to this web page where they can play the game. Now another great thing about this is that students don't have to download anything. Actually, even teachers don't have to download anything. All of this is available straight on your browser. So there's no downloads necessary. The teacher who's creating it doesn't have to download anything. The students who are going to be playing the game don't have to download anything. All of it can run directly from your browser. So that's the great thing about it. In terms of data consumption, because I know a lot of our teachers are also concerned about how much data would this take up. In the creation process, it may take a bit of data up. or a bit of your internet connection up because you're creating the game, you're piecing it together, right? But when it's time to play it, it doesn't require as much data anymore. So students, even with limited data, can actually play it easily. Especially if your game is something that's going to be very simple or is just only a few pages, a few activities only. Okay? Alright, so that's it for TinyTap. I hope that a lot of you have are interested in trying this out, and I hope a lot of you do actually try it out for yourself. And I can't wait to see the different games, the different activities that Filipino teachers are, or teachers from the Philippines are capable of creating, and how creative you can really get with making custom activities and even interactive stories for your students. So thank you so much. If you have any questions, please do feel free to ask them, and I would be very happy to answer them. Thank you.
All right. So thank you so much, Celine, for sharing your expertise with us. And I think this is a very wonderful app that you have taught us this afternoon. And I hope our teachers can have the time to really explore and try using this app in their classes. Now, before we move on to our open forum, I know all of you are very excited to hear uh, Mrs. Celine's response to your questions. I've seen a few questions in our chat earlier. But let me just again go back to our participants and acknowledge them. We have participants, teachers from my hometown, Bataan. So, mga Bataenyo, hello po. Good afternoon. We have teachers from Pangasinan, Iloilo, and would you believe even Sultan Kudarat, okay? Sorsogon, and all the way from Los Angeles, okay, LA, and then Thailand. Okay, so Celine, are you ready?
Yes.
Are you ready for open forum? Okay. So once again, let's welcome Miss Selene Estaris to our virtual stage. She will respond to the questions that you have posted. But please continue posting your questions. We will begin answering the questions that you posted earlier. But if we still have time, we will definitely pick up the questions that you will post later. Okay. So let's begin with the mother of all questions, Celine. Whenever even when I present a tutorial about an app, the first question is always, is this app available for free? Yeah, this is available for free. Celine.
That's a good question. I know a lot a lot of us as teachers, because we do have very limited budgets, we need to know that these apps are free or at least affordable. So the great thing, the good news here is TinyTap is free. They have a premium option. You can upgrade to a premium option, but a lot of their features are available already on the free version. So all those features I showed earlier, they're all available in the free version. There's no need to actually get a subscription or get the premium version if you just want those basic features that I showed earlier. So that's good news for all of our teachers because they can all access it. And even the students don't have to pay for anything or get anything to use this app.
Okay. So teachers, it's free. And the second question, follow-up question to this is, but I know you have answered, you have mentioned something about this at the end of your presentation, but just to clarify to everyone, how can students access the questions? Do they need to download the application? Do they need to install it to their devices? And maybe let's add in another question here. Yeah, if there's a possibility for
Mhm.
teachers to make this available offline, if they want to choose to make it available offline, is that even possible?
All right. So for the first question, the first part of that question is, how can students access it? They don't have to download anything. Actually, same for the teachers. The teachers don't have to download anything. There is an app version of TinyTap, but you don't have to get it to be able to use this program. You can actually just access it directly on their website, which is tinytap.com. So you can run it from your browser. It works on, I think, Chrome and Firefox. It works best on those. So I use Chrome when I'm using that. So again, no need to download anything. You can run it directly from your browser, and it goes the same for the students. They can play it directly from their browser, from their computer. They don't have to download any app. They don't have to download anything at all. The teachers just have to send the link of the game directly to their students. And when the students click that, it will take them directly to that game, and they can start playing it already, and they can play it as many times as they want. The second part of the question was, can it be available offline? So
Yeah.
unfortunately, the offline version, if you want your students to play it offline, that would entail having to get the subscription, because that's one of the premium features. Making the games offline is one of the premium features of TinyTap. So if you want them to access it offline, you would have to get a premium subscription, and the students would have to download the app, because that's where they will have to play it in order to be able to do it offline. So in terms of that, there's a little bit of a limitation when it comes to using TinyTap offline. Although when you do use it online, because the game is very simple, the features are very simple as well, and the graphics are not that many graphics at all. It doesn't really take up much internet or much data to be able to run it, especially if you're doing just a short activity or a simple one.
Okay. Yeah. So, dear teachers, if you have the budget to purchase or to get the subscription, then yeah, that's an option. But for most of us, I think Ms. Celine clarified that we can use it for free. But there are some perks that you may not be able to enjoy, okay, if you're using the free version. Now, in terms of the ease of use for the students, how much time did you allot for students to learn how to use Tiny Tabs? Because this is an application, and um, quite some time, people think that students are very tech savvy, and so they just let
Mhm.
the students do whatever they want with the apps and with the games, not knowing that we still need to teach the students how to use these apps properly. So, how much time did you? Yeah.
So because the features of TinyTap and the activities that it provides are very intuitive. Actually, like you said, children are very tech savvy, but we still need to teach them. So if we're going to give an orientation, maybe just around, actually it's very short, around 5 minutes, just to show them how do you do this particular type of activity, like the drag and drop. How do they do that? And then the typing activity, what does it look like? Um, and aside from giving them that orientation, we can even add just simple instructions to the activity itself or to the game itself. We can record it so that it's in audio form for younger students who may not be able to read yet. Or we can do it just simple text instructions at the top of the page or at the top of the screen, so that the students are still guided. So that even though
Okay.
we've given them that orientation, if they go through the activities, they won't get confused.
All right. So it all depends on how we provide instructions for the students. Yeah.
Yes.
Now, we have teachers who are asking if this is if this yeah earlier, if this application is available offline, and you said they can have it um, with subscription. Now, if they don't want to pay up for the subscription, can you recommend other apps, free applications that they can use offline, which
Offline.
yeah, that can be used in the same way as Tiny Tabs?
Uh-huh. So actually, when it comes to applications, if we want it to be offline, especially if it's games, the trade-off there is that the games that we can run offline for free usually are a little more complicated to construct, because those types of games, you actually have to program it already to be self-sufficient, meaning once you finish the game, it can run on its own without needing access to the internet, and that means that you have to really program it. A lot of those games. There are actually ones that you can run offline, like RPG Maker. There Game Maker on Steam as well. You can run it offline. But again, the trade-off is that it's a little more complicated compared to something like TinyTap. You actually have to code it and make sure everything is good already, like everything is fixed before you actually publish it and have your kids play it. Whereas games like TinyTap, because it's connected to the internet, if you want to make a change, you can just edit it anytime, and those changes will be applied immediately to the game. If it's offline, you have to make sure everything's okay already before you actually give it to them. So there are some games, like I mentioned, RPG Maker, things like those. But yeah, a little more complicated.
But you know what I got from that is that internet connection, connection to the internet, Wi-Fi is really a necessity right now. It's really difficult to teach or to provide the best education for students if you don't have internet connection nowadays. No.
Mhm.
But
Actually, however, if I can add, Ajay,
yeah.
if you want, there's actually a simple way of doing
Mhm.
an offline game, but it's more of just a kind of like a point and click type of game, which you can actually make using even something as simple as PowerPoint.
Yeah.
You just have to be very creative with it, but again, a lot of construction has to be done, a lot of planning before you actually.
Yes. So if in tiny tabs everything is automatic, you'll have to
Mhm.
do everything manually with applications that are available offline. Yeah.
Mhm.
So since TinyTaps is an application, a web application available
Uh-huh.
online, we have other online gamification tools such as
Mhm.
quizzes. But uh, does TinyTaps have the classes feature? Like, you know, you can put your students into a class. Okay, so does it have that kind of feature?
Yes, but again,
Oh,
unfortunately, it's one of the subscription. It's one of the premium
yeah, yeah,
features.
yeah.
So if you want to be able to monitor your students and put them in a class like in quizzes, that's one of their premium features. So the basic or the free features are mostly just, if you want to give, it's more suited towards like a formative activity.
Mhm.
Just maybe for practice for your students, something that you don't necessarily need to monitor them, or because the feedback is automated as well. At least it's something that can give them immediate feedback. So it's more targeted towards formative activities and practice, rather than monitoring their actual progress.
Okay, very understandable. But um, one thing that I like about the gamification,
Mhm.
putting elements of a game in a class is not only the immediate feedback that you get from the games and the fun and engagement factor, okay, of the game, but actually the interaction that happens
Mhm.
between students. So is that possible with Tiny Taps? Can students collaborate in a way, or even teachers, for example, in when they create Tiny Taps, can they collaborate? And how about students?
Yes. So
Can
actually, yes, students can also create their own games. They just have to create their account. And an account is as simple as getting an email address, using your email address, and then creating a password, and that's it. Once you have an account, you can actually create as many games as you like. There's actually no limit to the games that you create, even on a free um, account or a free version of the program. So students can create it. The only consideration there should be that the teacher should provide an orientation on how to create the games. Maybe provide like some instructions on how to do certain activities, and then of course provide some guides on what type of activity or what type of output they expect from their students. And then because it is online, students can collaborate with each other. Like I showed earlier, the games, after you publish them, you can set them to be editable and also to be public. So when you do that, other people can see the games you created and they can also edit it. So in that way, students, even if they're not physically together, even in a remote setting like what we have right now, they can work together on creating something. And at the same time, teachers and students can also work together on creating something. Like, for example, maybe the teacher can create a template and then the students will be the one to fill it in. So something like that could happen. It's very collaborative.
So, right, so that's a very good
Mhm.
feature. And I think many students will really benefit from collaborating with their classmates and creating their own games as well. So they don't just play
Mhm.
the game, they create a game. Um, but for teachers, can the app generate summary of what the students got from the activity? So like again, like what quizzes does, right? So does
Mhm.
it have a summary of the results?
It does have that again for premium subscription.
Okay,
So some
so
of the
we're
more
going back.
powerful tools, yeah, is for premium.
Okay, so again, dear teacher, so we are reminded of the importance of having the budget. But yeah, so it has it.
Mm-hmm.
You need a subscription, right?
Mm-hmm.
And another thing, can we get an access to those games done by other creators without premium subscription? Okay, like if you created a game, can I use your game for my own class?
So the answer there is yes, absolutely. You can access other teachers' games. So if you have colleagues who created
Yes.
games or even teachers from other schools, other countries, if as long as they made their game public, you will be able to find it. And you'll also be able to have your students play it. So you can make use of other teachers' creations. The understanding there as well is some of you might be asking, but are we okay to use those, like in terms of like copyright and use of
Mm.
other people's materials? By making those materials public, you're actually acknowledging that other people can use it. So the same goes for us. If we create a game and we set it to public, we're also acknowledging that other teachers or other students from around the world can also access it and use it for their own purposes. So yeah, we can access those. The TinyTap library is very big, so actually sometimes you don't even have to create your own game anymore because probably somebody has already created something that is similar to what you need. Or even TinyTap itself has created maybe something for that particular topic already. Like I showed earlier, they work in collaboration with other programs, other companies as well, like Sesame Street.
Wow, Sesame
Yeah.
Street. Okay, one of my favorite, childhood
Yeah.
shows, TV shows. That's a big bird. Okay. I forgot my question, but so you mentioned that
Mhm.
by making my game public,
Mhm.
people in the internet can have access to my game. But what if I specifically want a particular game to be shared to one of my colleagues, for example, so that they don't have to go to the library and to TinyTap library and check all the games and browse
Mhm.
over it. And can I just share them a link directly connected to the game that I want to share to them
Yes,
or
that's a
with
good
them?
question. Yeah. So because you made it public, and again, another consideration, you have to make it editable. So for example, if you want
Mm-hmm.
that teacher to be able to maybe make some tweaks to it as well, you have to turn that on. And then yes, just sharing a link is enough for them to be able to access it. Because by sharing the link, they can directly go to that game. And if it's something you made editable, then they can also make some changes to it if needed.
Okay. And then, as a reminder to everyone, that feature is free. You don't need a subscription to share your work with other teachers. Now we're talking about gamification, but
Mhm.
we all know that not all teachers um, are experts in integrating games in their classrooms. But for beginners, okay, for
Mhm.
teachers who are beginning to get into this strategy, what particular principles or considerations do you think we as starters need to think about when we are planning for a gamified session with our students?
Okay. So some important considerations would be first, if you have the time for it. Of course, you don't want to take away from time that students will be having for their lessons or for discussion. So you have to make sure first that there's actually enough time for you, considering that you need to give a short orientation about the game. And then you have to actually give them sufficient time to explore it or to do the game itself. So you need to set aside specifically time for that. And aside from time that you're going to take for students to work on it, there's also your personal time which you will be taking to maybe find the game, test it, and or if necessary, create the game itself. So that's one consideration is time. Another consideration would be if it aligns with your targets, if it meets the learning needs of your students. Because of course, we don't want to waste, quote unquote, waste the time that our students have learning, right? If the game is not going to contribute anything to them, if it's not going to help them learn anything or practice anything, then perhaps we need to redesign it or consider doing a different activity, because gamification is not just for the purpose of students having fun, but the purpose is for them to have fun while they're learning. So the important part there is that they're still learning. So those activities that we create, those games that we have them play, should still be targeting specific skills or specific knowledge. It should help them practice things that they need to know how to do in a fun way, or even learn about new things, again, in a fun way. So the important part there is the learning part. It's just that we're accompanying it with some fun so that they don't necessarily feel that it doesn't get too boring for them or monotonous, and they have a bit of excitement while they're doing that. So that's very important, is that it should always align with targets, with target skills or target knowledge, because otherwise there's no use in actually doing it. It's just,
Yeah.
you're probably like just giving them time off to just really play, which they have time to anyway over breaks and weekends. So we want to maximize that time to help them achieve something while they're doing it. So those are two very important considerations. And of course, whether or not the games are actually appropriate for them. We have a lot of games available. There are a lot of apps available now as well that can help in the gamification of lessons and topics. But we need to check first, as teachers, it's our responsibility as well to check if it's appropriate for their age. Is it appropriate for the context that they're in? For example, in the Philippines, right, if we're getting games from abroad, international games, will it fit our context? Will the students be able to understand what it's about if it's an international game? So yeah, those are the important considerations to take when we're doing gamification.
So thank you so much, Celine. I think what you have said are very important. Sometimes we think that they're very basic, but
Mhm.
since they're very basic and we're so familiar with them, like the objectives, target, goals, learning, sometimes we take them for granted and we lose sight of what's essential. So
Mhm.
your reminder really makes the things that we do aligned with our curriculum goals. So for our viewers, for our participants, maybe you could share with us how you plan um, to use TinyTap, for example, or other gamification applications in your own classes in the chat box. I have gone through the comments, and we're done with the last question. But if you still have more questions, please send them, and we will forward them to Miss Celine so that she can respond to your questions, and we will do our best to send you those answers. And I think that's the end. Let me just look at our chat one last time. Uh, yeah. Okay. Okay, so that's the last question. So that ends our open forum, my dear teachers, educators, okay, friends. If you have, again, other questions, you may forward them to us at Tagpros Education Facebook page, and we will try our best to uh, provide you with the response, okay, from our speaker. Okay, tell us your thoughts about today's webinar workshop in the evaluation form. The link is presented on the screen, and as well as on the comment section. So once again, answering the evaluation form is necessary for claiming your e-certificates. A reminder, you have 1 week to answer the evaluation form to get an e-certificate. We will be sending out your e-certificates after 2 weeks. Okay, so thank you so much for your understanding. Okay, and again, thank you so much, Celine. And that ends today's webinar workshop. But we hope to see you again next Saturday for this webinar workshop series. So we have more exciting and engaging workshops for you. So as always, keep updated with Tagpros Education by following our official social media pages. Invite your family and friends as well. And once again, I'm Jerome, and thank you for joining us today.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Jerome. Thank you, everybody. See you all next Saturday.
See you, Celine.